Elmo of Sesame Street recently asked in a tweet, "How's everybody doing?" The response was overwhelmingly negative, and he accidentally uncovered massive amounts of dread and despair among Americans. So this came out at the end of January. I'm wondering what happened to all of our hopes and aspirations at the beginning of the year? Well, I have a simple process that I've done for years that uses hope to restore aspirations. Welcome to the Get Business Savvy podcast. I'm George Black, and this is AJ Bishop.
George, how do you have a process to restore that based on hope when, based on the dread and despair from the survey, it seems like there's hopelessness?
And frankly, it's hard to have hope because of all the negativity that bombard us every day.
Especially with social media and TV and all the news that you can take in. I mean, the very platform that Elmo's asking, "How are you doing?" on, he's likely asking people before and after scrolling through a bunch of negativity.
Right. And just think about it, guys. I mean, do we really want to hear about the celebrity's life that's going great and it's full of aspirations? And no, we want to hear about the celebrities' lives who are falling apart, who are miserable. What we're encouraging this stuff, right?
Or if you're working in a corporate environment like I am at the moment, it's performance review season. So those negative comments and anticipation of negative comments, that also looms over you. And it feels like people just focus more on those negatives. I mean, even me and myself, I could have 10 positive feedback points, but I'm going to focus on the one negative over everything else.
Yeah. So that's why hope is courage. Hope is allowing desires to blossom into expectation that goodness is coming. And it takes immense courage to hold on to that because we're pushing back against all of the flood of negativity that's coming at us. And it's always been this way, I think, in history. But I think in our age, there's such an incredible amount of volume. There's so much coming at us that it literally is overwhelming.
And so fast, too. It's volume and velocity.
That's true.
And once any big thing happens, you can hear an infinite number of opinions on it. You search it on YouTube, and there's an infinite number of videos, and there's just so much to sort through. All the clickbait headlines.
So that's right. We have the negativity coming against us, but we also have something else. And you kind of alluded to it just a second ago, talking about performance reviews. We have these patterns in our lives, and patterns are really, really hard to break. So you come into the new year, and if you've done nothing to close last year's patterns, they're going to come right on into the new year. In fact, AJ, and this is coming through grief psychology and grief counseling has discovered, as human beings, we have to have closure. We've got to say goodbye. Well, if we've got old patterns we're trying to get rid of, we've got to have some kind of closure on those patterns and stop doing them.
Can you give an example of a pattern that you're talking about?
Yeah, let's take something really, really simple, like how you drive or commute to work or walk to work, however you get to work. And I'm assuming it's not down the hall in the third bedroom, okay? So it's a place of business, or you're the way you go to the grocery store or the market, okay? You probably go the same way every time, okay? So now just feel this suggestion from me. I want to suggest a better way to go, a different way to go that it's a little more scenic. I think you'll enjoy it. And immediately, this is the pattern. This is the route I've been using for months, years. I don't want a suggestion. I'm feeling stressed by the idea. I know exactly the way I go. I know exactly every nook and cranny turn. I don't want to change. That's a pattern. And when we start to say, look, there's another way, we resist because we're comfortable in those patterns.
And as you're talking about patterns, how do those tie to this year's hopes and aspirations compared to how last year went?
What we have to do, AJ, is look at last year first and then look at where do we want to go with our hopes and aspirations. And the thing is like, let me just use myself as an example to illustrate this. I think that'd be easier. One thing is you've got to look back over the year, the previous year, and to see what I'm talking about. And I saw by the end of the year, a pattern had developed where I was getting a little more negative and a little more negative. And here's what that looked like. I would start to say things to myself like, this isn't going to work. I've tried it before. Why bother? That sort of thing. And this negativity, I knew it came in through like news media and stuff like that. Okay. So I'm aware of that. So I would periodically shut all that down. In fact, last fall, I tried to use college football as a distraction. And as one friend pointed out, well, there's a lot of negativity in college football. I go, well, yeah, there is. Okay. But it's a different kind of negativity, right? How negativity is negativity. Okay. So by the time I got to the end of the year, by like December, I am in despair. I have to change course really radically. I've got to break that pattern severely.
And I completely get what you're saying there with college football being a way to try to get away from it. As a lifelong fan of teams that don't often win, I experience the negativity during the season all the time. But the thing is, the season ends, your team, and if it's like my teams, it ends earlier than everybody else's. But that just means you're in the off season, and in the off season, that's when hope runs supreme. Is you don't have to watch the team every Saturday or Sunday. You just get to believe, oh, we've made all these changes, and next season's going to be better, and the future is looking brighter than the past.
Yeah. AJ, wait. I mean, I don't think I would call that hope. I think I would call it denial. So look, and honestly, you said traditionally following teams that don't do well, and it's a merry-go-round. Okay. And actually, it's a really good illustration, because if you want to stay on this merry-go-round, then don't do what I'm going to suggest. Okay. And it involves hope, because hope is the opposite of despair. And it gets you off this merry-go-round. So we've got to say goodbye to last year's patterns and say hello, welcoming new hopes and aspirations. So in this process, the very first thing you need to do is get out a piece of paper and just write down some things that you would hope for in 2024 to do or to live for, to accomplish. Things that would bring you joy in your business or in your life. Okay. So what we want you to just brainstorm out some ideas real quick on a sheet of paper, and they can be anything. Okay. That you would want to do in 2024 for your business, for your personal life. But the key is these would be things that would bring you joy. All right. Now, you can pause the podcast and go do that and then keep going, or listen to us and then come back and do it, however you want to do it. As you write things down, you can make it a description, you can make it phrases. It doesn't have to be a specific word. It can be a specific word.
And then another way to think of this is thinking about, okay, we got to December of 2024. Pretend you're looking back at 2024 and what were the things that brought you joy? And if you were to look back at the year, what were things that brought you joy, or what would bring you joy? And this is an opportunity to bring those things up so you can go achieve them, and also make you hopeful. Because I know, as I did the exercise, looking back at it, or looking forwards to look back at it, made me feel almost like the pride that I would feel, that I'm hoping to feel in December.
Yeah, you can definitely do it that way. Another thing you can do is go back and look at previous years and what are some of the things that you did that brought you joy. So the process is quite simple. The first thing you need to do is just answer this question. What's one thing that would bring you hope in 2024? All right, in the coming year, in this year. And it's not too late. I know it's February, but it's not too late to do this. You've got 10 months. You can live into this. And this one thing you hope for, it's something you could do or you could live for. you could accomplish. But here's the key is that it brings you joy, either in your personal life or business life or both. So just brainstorm around that a little bit to think about one thing that would bring you joy.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking one thing for me would be to add another source of revenue or a stream of income for myself.
Interesting. Okay. What about that would bring you joy? Well,
It's something I've always had my whole life, and right now I'm at a point where I'm dependent on only one source of income. And not that there's anything wrong with that one source. It's just having multiple to me feels more secure than just relying on one source for anything.
okay. So it's not about like, I want more money so I can go buy more things. It's more about, I would just like another source of income as just a security, the joy in security.
Yeah. And this one would be a more independent source, and I was able to go out and, and be entrepreneurial in nature, and earn money that way would be deeply rewarding, I also think.
So would you say that if this revenue stream is from an entrepreneurial source, that's actually going to be make it even better and more joyful?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'd be living in my passions that way.
Yeah. Okay. So now you take, okay. So what's one word? What I want you guys to do is like, what's one word or phrase, short little phrase that would represent whatever your idea is? So for AJ, one word might be what?
Well, it wouldn't be one word, but entrepreneurial revenue. If I could get two words out of it.
Okay. So that would be something if you, as one word, if you could do that, one, it would change patterns from last year and it would bring hope for this coming year.
Yeah, it's giving me hope right now just thinking about making it happen.
Cool. All right. So guys, here's what I want you to do is you come up with that word or phrase like AJ's just done. And now I want you to take that word and spread it all over this coming year, like soft butter on warm toast. And a lot of it, slather it all over the year. Let this be your word and live into it through the whole year. And that is your hope and your theme for 2024.
Okay, I like that. And hopefully there's plenty of revenue that comes with all that spreading.
Well, here's why I think it's significant for you in that specific word is that if you gain revenue from an entrepreneurial activity, it's the proof positive you're doing something entrepreneurial.
Exactly.
And that's really the source of your joy. That's your passion.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one more thing about hope that you've got to do this, guys. You have to believe. So hope is allowing desires to blossom into expectations that goodness is coming. And to believe that takes faith. And so my definition of faith actually requires hope. Okay. So the two work together. You need hope to believe and believe to hope, right? Okay. So faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. Okay, now wait. I'm just blowing your minds here, but go with this. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. Okay, so we're taking what we hope for and the reality of faith, but faith is actually the evidence of what we can't see. All right, so that's a bit of a mystery, but believing in what you're hoping for is how it becomes reality. And after all, isn't that what being an entrepreneur is all about?
Having a hope that you can make a better world and believing that you can make the better world and you'll do the steps to do it and then ultimately hopping on the ride to do so. Yeah, that's exactly what being an entrepreneur is.
Yeah. So let's counter Elmo's survey with the opposite of despair, which is hope. And I want you to build on this. And I'll tell you about, we're doing a webinar, and the webinar is how to exponentially grow your business. It will be full of hope as I share stories on how I've helped lead companies in exponential growth and share secrets on how you can do it for your own company. Plus, we'll have plenty of opportunity for you to ask specific questions that you're looking for answers on. So click the link below, register for the webinar, and check out last week's video. I know you're going to love it. And until next time, may you live truly free.